For figure P2-14 then, said that we can identify the symmetry here, but we really don't need the center lines or to go through the mirrors. We're just going to use the geometry that we have available. So this is a metric part. Pull up the millimeters. We'll stay in the front plane. And I am in the center rectangle already. You can tell by the symbol. So we'll just make sure. And even if I happen to be in the corner rectangle and wanted to go over to center, I could come over to the property manager and select it. So we'll pull the rectangle out a little ways. Let's put some dimensions onto the to the shape. So we are 80 by 150. And then the question becomes, do we want to put the chamfers in the sketch? Since this is pretty straightforward, let's just look at some of the issues of the sketch chamfer, kind of like the radius. If this breaks a midpoint relation or takes away any other relations, then typically it will bark at you that there is an issue. So this is equal distance, 20 by 20 or 45 degrees. All right, and so if I pick the two lines, I would get the chamfer, but I can also pick the vertex. And then the links are because of the equal distance. If we had chosen angle and distance, then I would have 45 degrees in one of the 20. So that makes it a little more cluttered, but that gives us a good result. And then we'll go over to the slot tool. We can go full length, but I like the center point since that's the way I'm going to create the geometry. We can come off the origin, and then I'll go one more time and just fill in those geometries. If I want these slots to always be the same, so there's a radius of 10. And so I do have to be careful because slots have this capability to make the whole thing equal, where we just want the radius to be equal in this case. So watch out for the difference, because slot is kind of a macro generating all of that geometry for us, and making the slot fixed also has its share of issues. I would prefer that wasn't the first choice, but just be aware that I can make those two equal, and that would be length and radius and all of the geometry. So if I had multiple slots, it would be very easy to pick that geometry and set it equal. So since I just want the radius, I pick the radius of each slot and set those to equal. Now we can give it a length. Horizontal is 110, the vertical is slot here 40, and when we go to extrude, we're going to use that contour and region. This has a thickness of 7.5 millimeters. Okay, and because of the overlaps, it automatically goes in. And one of the things with the slots too is, since this is basically a macro, trimming these really isn't a good idea. They can be dissolved, they can go through, but then you're going to have to mess with the relations. It's going to be a lot easier just leaving that geometry, picking the region that you want for your extrusion, and accepting it. So let's go ahead and save this, and we'll be ready to go on to the next.